The Oklahoma City Thunder fall to the Boston Celtics. However, Tre Mann sets NBA records and Thunder records in this game against Boston. SGA drops 30 points again. Poku bounces back, and Darius Bazley continues to turn the corner. What does this all mean for the Oklahoma City Thunder? All of that and more coming up on today's Locked On Thunder podcast, the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Rylan Stiles. You can follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at LOThunderPod and email the show, LOThunderPod@gmail.com. On today's show, we're going to dive into Tre Mann's historic performance, SGA dropping 31 points, Darius Bazley breaking out, and Poku bouncing back as the Thunder fall to the Celtics in this one in the Paycom Center on the second night of a back-to-back, 132 to 123. We also have an injury update on SGA and what the future could look like this season with SGA's ankle injury, as well as so much more to dive into. Let's start, though, with the biggest story, which is Tre Mann. Tre Mann had a historic night. Get ready for this. Tre Mann set a Thunder rookie record by scoring 35 points. Tre Mann became the first rookie in NBA history, the league that celebrates its 75th anniversary this year, in NBA history, to make 7 consecutive three-point field goals in the first half. Tre Mann set a Thunder rookie record with 23 points in the third quarter. After the game, his head coach said, Tre Mann has the difficult stuff down. Being able to wiggle and move against an elite Boston defense shows you all you need to know. The hard part of playing in the NBA has been accomplished by Tre Mann, which is a scary thought for somebody who's a rookie and who you got in the teens. And I think it's true. And what Mark pointed out was he has all the flashy step backs and crossovers and space creation and everything you need to be an elite scorer in this league. He needs to clean up stuff that's easy, like catch and shoot threes. Now, you watch Tre Mann throughout his entire rookie season. You go watch his rookie season highlight tape. You go watch this game where he goes 7 for 12 from three-point land. And you tell me that guy can't shoot on a catch and shoot. Obviously, the attention goes to SGA when we talk about building this roster out and making the Thunder competitive again and getting back over that hump. The attention goes to what SGA can be and how SGA can be better with better parts around him. But that extends to every person on the roster, including Tre Mann. Tre Mann was dominant tonight. 35 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 7 for 12 from 3, 58%, 12 for 21 from the floor, 61%. He took some deep threes and hit deep threes. And for an offense that was sputtering out of the gate, they got down 10-0 and just never really found their groove. Tre Mann was that spark plug to get them trending back in the right direction and to allow them to cover this 13-point spread after getting down by as many as 23 and never having a lead in this game. Actually got down by as many as 26 and never had a lead in this game. But they still covered the double-digit spread because of Tre Mann, because of his ability to snap this offense back in place. And obviously, a lot has to do with SGA as well, who yet again scored over 30 points. But with Tre Mann, there's so much left in his developmental process. There's so much more that he can be. And we're just really unsure of the picture at 21 years old in his rookie season. He's played 57 NBA games. He's made 23 career starts. And over those 57 career games, he averages 22 minutes per game. This is still incredibly early in his NBA career, what will be a long one because of his scoring ability. So the future of Tre Mann the role that you see him in has not been defined yet. I think at worst, he's one of the best sixth men in the entire NBA. He's an elite scorer on a championship quality team that comes off the bench and helps you survive without your superstars and leads your team. Helps guide your team. At the worst, he's somebody who the voters get tired of handing the sixth man of the the sixth man of the year award to. At the very worst. At the best, you have this guy who is in a system and an organization that can get the best out of you defensively, as we've seen over the years, coach after coach. We've seen this organization be able to tap into defense, including with Mark. You become a passable defender for Tre Mann with his elite space creation for himself and others, the gravity to allow the offense to flow, deep scoring, deep shooting from three, keeping a defense off balance, the ability to drive to the rim and explode to the rim and dunk on people, which eventually leads to scoring at all three levels, because then you just add that mid-range because you have defenses reeling. I mean, imagine how much of a mid-range killer he can be if he wants to, because you have a guy here who can blow by you and go to the rim and dunk on whoever's down there, and a guy who can step back 3 feet behind the line and shoot a three. What are you going to do? You sell out to stop the three, and you pack the paint. Okay, elbow jumper, free throw line extended jumper, easy. You sag off to prevent the drive. Okay, three-pointer. Tre Mann has an endless scoring bag potential. He seems like a very dedicated player, a very hard worker, somebody who will continue to try to add new things to his repertoire. Remember, we're just now seeing SGA feel comfortable enough to break out these step-back threes. I mean, something he's worked on for 2 straight off seasons on Instagram and over the summer in private workouts. He's just now breaking those out. He's just now getting into that stuff in the NBA consistently. So this stuff takes time to develop a new, let's call it a trick, right? But a new move, a new way to score, develop it, refine it, and then implement it. And so if he's already this good as a scorer, coming straight into the league as a rookie, and at this point in the season, right, we're talking March 22nd. This game happened March 21st. We're talking March 21st. And we're talking 10 games left in the season, 11 games left in the season, 10 games now. And Josh Giddey's out, and Favors is out, and Kenny Hustle's out, and we can go through the list of people who are out later on, but all these talented players are out. There's no way that Tre Mann's not at the top of that scouting report, behind SGA, maybe behind Bazley, but has to be on the first page of that scouting report. He has to be a priority member of that scouting report, however you want to break it down. These teams are game planning for Tre Mann, SGA, Bazley, Poku, guys like that, especially with everybody out and missing right now. And yet he's still able to find moments and thrive like this. And he still has his lows. The game against the Magic was not particularly great for him, obviously. You're going to ride the roller coaster of rookie season. And he's had stretches that are better than others in his rookie season. He started out very slow. Then he dominated. Then he hit a little bit of a rookie wall/lull. And now he pops back onto the scene with this performance. You're going to have to ride the roller coaster. You're going to have to let him get into his NBA career. But something that I even have to do is not put a ceiling yet on Tre Mann, because we haven't found that ceiling quite yet. I think we've found his floor. I would be shocked. I would be puzzled. I would be perplexed. I'd be nauseous if in 3-4 years, Tre Mann's not an important member of the NBA. If Tre Mann's not a 6th man or better in the NBA on a legitimate championship team, I would be floored. If he's not making an impact at the NBA level, if he's an afterthought, I would be floored. So we found his bottom line. But games like this convince me more and more we haven't seen what he can be in totality yet. And so that has to make you excited for the Thunder, especially as you continue to review their rookie class. which on lottery night seemed doomed. You don't get that Rockets pick. You don't get a top 5 pick in a draft that's been a 5-man draft for the entire process. And then draft night comes, you draft Josh Giddey. At the time, was not a microwave success. We can do all the revisionist history we want to. It turns out to be a huge success to draft Josh Giddey. Then you trade away the Şengün pick and you draft Tre Mann instead. Obviously, you draft Tre Mann in general, but you draft Tre Mann and trade away Şengün. Then you get Wiggins and Jeremiah Robinson-Earl in reverse order. Looking back on that class now, grading it on draft night versus grading it now looks totally different already. And so we just continue to see what this rookie class can end up being down the line. But before we talk about SGA and what he did tonight, I do want to talk about our good friends over at BetOnline. BetOnline is perfect. It's that time of year again as college basketball is finally upon us with their tournament and their postseason March Madness. We love that. Love sitting down watching March Madness 24/7. So make sure you check out BetOnline to bet on those games. Whether it's odds, contests, player props, BetOnline.net is the number one source for your sports betting needs and info this season. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sporting scores, podcasts, and news this year. It's not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering and information and needs, including live betting in your favorite Vegas casino games. So head over to the website today and use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts, folks. It's so easy. You go to betonline.net. You type that into your web browser. I'm doing it right now for you to show you how easy and simple this is and how fast this is. You pick your sport you want. Let's just say we want to bet on some basketball. Let's take some college basketball future bets. Let's talk about the tournament. Odds to win the title right now. Gonzaga is the favorite, plus 225. Kansas is plus 500. Now, I picked Kansas in my bracket. I can double down and pick Kansas plus 500 right now and try to make some money in this respect. So go check them out today, betonline.net, and you can bet on sports with the best of them. Check it out today. Also, I want to tell you about your friends over at Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens is incredible, folks. It is a lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto or paleo or vegan or dairy-free or gluten-free. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anythings, while still tasting good. It supports better sleep quality and recovers and helps support mental clarity and alertness. It's the one thing with the best things. Athletic Greens uses the best of the best products, and it's everything you need without the 50 million vitamin bottles, right? You can get it, Athletic Greens AG1. It has over 7,000 five-star reviews, recommended by professional athletes, trusted by leading health experts such as Tim Ferriss and Michael Garvinis. Folks, it costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health. It's cheaper than your cold brew habit. It's cheaper than getting yourself the different supplements you need every day. You're investing in an all-in-one nutrition insurance. Right now, it's the time to reclaim your health. Arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into flu and cold season. It's just 1 scoop and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. It makes it easy by going to Athletic Greens. You can get a free 1-year supply for immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Take ownership over your health. Pick up the ultimate daily nutrition insurance. Athletic Greens has you covered. athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Thank you for making Locked On Thunder your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you, talking Thunder basketball. For your second listen, go check out the Locked On Now podcast, nightly recaps of every NBA game with breakdowns from our local experts. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts from, including myself on that show, recapping every Thunder game for you. We know it's difficult and hard and almost, in fact, is impossible to keep up with every single NBA game from the night before. So every morning, you can start your day with Locked On Thunder, giving you all the free Thunder content you can want. and then shift over to Locked On Now, which is a recap show of every NBA game from the night before, so you're caught up on what's happening around the association. Let's talk, though, about SGA. He does it again. He drops 31 points. Since the All-Star break, SGA leads the NBA in 30-point games, 10. Top 5 in assists, 110. Top 3 in points, 395. Top 10 in steals, 22. Leads guards in blocks, 22. He is 63% true shooting percentage. He's averaging 31 points on 7 and 6 while shooting 54, 39, 81 shooting splits. In this game, he has 31 points, 9 assists, and a rebound. Look, those stats brought to you by Thunder Muse on Twitter. Great post about SGA's averages since the All-Star break. Look, in this game, 31 points, 9 assists, a rebound, 4 for 4 from 3. A crossover that made White fall to beat the buzzer in the first quarter, which is awesome. 56% from the floor. This is very hard to do. I know that Marcus Smart was out. I know that Robert Williams was out. I know that the Celtics are on the back end in the last game of the West Coast trip. I know all that. But still, the Celtics are a very good team, a very good defense. And they were packing in the paint. They were trying to cut off SGA at the rim. And SGA still got it done. 4 for 4 from 3, 56% from the floor, scoring 31 points. And what's shocking is he goes 1 for 1 at the free throw line. He typically lives at the free throw line. And now you've cut off a source of 10 plus points of his, 9 plus points of his. Think about it. We do this every single game recap where we talk about what every player did that night. How many times you've heard me say SGA gets 8 free throws made, 9 free throws made, 12 free throws made, 13 free throws made? A lot. He gets 1 point of that 31 produced at the free throw line. And he still is able to take over this game. He still is able to make a huge impact. He still only has 2 turnovers despite all of the moving parts around him. Did have 5 fouls defensively, but he's much more engaged defensively than we've seen before. And he even had a few deflections that didn't lead to steals, don't show up in the box score, but it's just his length at work defensively and also showing, again, how engaged he is on that defensive end of the floor. It just so happened that the deflections went right back to the Celtics and didn't really generate that stat in the traditional box score that you see. So with SGA in this game, you just continue to throw your hands up and say the Thunder have another all-star. I know that technically speaking, he's not made an all-star team. That's a lot of different factors, right? Again, in the bubble year, I should say in the pandemic year where there's no fans and things like that last season doesn't make it because of Mike Conley, right? And as the Jazz being so good and Mike Conley, Lifetime Achievement Award for Mike Conley last year. This year, he's hurt before the All-Star break, got off to a slow shooting start from 3, doesn't make the All-Star game. Also, the Thunder were very bad record-wise, didn't have an All-Star, yada, yada, yada. Next year, who knows what the future holds, but in general, if you want to tier this off as superstars and then superstars and then all-stars all on down the line, SGA is for sure in that all-star group. He's an all-star tier, right? Could he miss the game again next year? Sure. But in general, this is an all-star caliber player and somebody you feel incredibly comfortable with, giving that 5-year no opt-out max contract to, as you did last offseason, which kicks in this offseason. SGA continues to just be elite and an elite scorer. I am interested to see what the future holds for SGA, obviously, but tonight was just impressive to see him do it in more than one way. The free throw thing is big. We spent all last season talking about SGA. When you get to the line, it takes you from a 10 points per game score to a 15 point per game score, 15 to 20, 20 to 25, yada, yada, yada. He gets to the line one time after living there this entire season, and he still produces 31 points. He still gets it done somehow, some way. And I know other qualifiers. I know that Boston's defense is elite, but tonight they missed 2 very key pieces to that defense. And tonight they're on the second night of back-to-back, just like the Thunder are. And tonight they're wrapping up their West Coast trip and going back home. I get all of that, but it was still very impressive to see what SGA could do. Also, huge shout out to Poku, bounce back after that historic 3 for 20 or 21 shooting night against the Magic on Monday, just on Sunday. On Monday, he bounces back, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 3 steals. I should say 3 assists, a steal, 1 turnover, 53% from the floor, 37% from deep, and a plus 10 on the game on 27 minutes off the bench. It was good to see Poku bounce back and not kind of be, closed off after that very, very bad game on Sunday. Or not trying to break off that cold streak on his own. He let the game come to him. He continued to play the way that he should play off the bench in the role he should play. He didn't try to ball hog and try to take over and try to break himself out of it. He let his teammates set him up. He took care of business, and he did break out of that slump that he was in from that Magic game. It's a very bad game. I know Poku has supreme confidence, and Poku is more confident, I'd argue, than nearly any player in the entire NBA. But 3 for 20, 3 for 21 against Orlando, that's rough. That's rough to have to play the very next night. And travel from, of course, Orlando to Oklahoma City in between. And he bounced back in a big way. That's another sign, big or small, however you want to view it, of maturity from Pokusevski. I do want to talk about Darius Bazley. What does it mean that he's turning the corner? What does it matter for the future of the Thunder? Does it matter at all for the Thunder that Bazley's turning the corner? Also, SGA injury update and how the Thunder lost this game, all coming up on today's Locked On Thunder podcast. But first, I want to tell you right now, we're good friends over at Built Bar, or I should say Rock.com. Rock.com is a family-owned business serving you auto parts online for 20 years. That's right, 20 years ago. You probably couldn't write your email properly, but you could have been going to rockauto.com and finding all the parts that your car will ever need. And my favorite part about rockauto.com is that I know absolutely nothing about cars. Nothing. I don't have to know anything about cars. All I got to know is my make, my model, my year, and they're only going to show me car parts that are compatible with my vehicle. That way, I'm not wasting time, effort, or money on parts I cannot use or parts I do not need. It's that simple. It's that easy. And I feel much safer going to rockauto.com than going into a brick and mortar store because rockauto.com has no idea what my experience level is. They have no idea if I'm an expert, a do-it-yourself, or a mechanic myself, or if I'm me. And I know nothing. I couldn't even tell you how to change a windshield wiper. But rockauto.com will give me the same low prices and same amazing selection as they would a mechanic or an expert in the craft. So check them out today, rockauto.com. Right in there that you heard about rockauto.com from Locked On, and they'll know what to do from there. rockauto.com, amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. We are back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. I want to tell you right now, thank you for making Locked On Thunder your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you talking Thunder basketball. Subscribe for free across all platforms. For your next listen, go check out Locked On NBA. It's a Locked On experts breaking down the biggest stories from every NBA game in 30 minutes or less. Check it out, free and available wherever you get your podcast from. Let's continue now talking about this game against the Celtics. Darius Bazley turns the corner, scores 22 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, a block, 2 fouls, 61% from the floor, 1 for 4 from 3, 5 for 7 from the line. What does this all mean? Got this question a lot. What does it mean that Bazley is turning the corner? Look, you have to remember when evaluating Darius Bazley, this is not his forever role, right? His forever role is not being a locked-in starter for the Thunder. He's a borderline starter in the NBA, even while turning the corner. You have to think about what happens when you build a good enough team that Bazley shifts from a locked-in everyday starter for 3 years or 2 years, whatever it's been now, to a seventh man. With his defense, with his athleticism, with his activity offensively, that's a really good seventh man. And going further, this offseason, you get the second half of the year from Bazley plastered everywhere, and you're talking up GMs and you're talking and wheeling and dealing about trades, and you say, look at this guy. He's still only 21 years old. He's still a raw guy that you can shape into your own image and into your own scheme. And look at him breaking out and turning the corner the second half of the year. You know, we got him to this point, but you guys can take him over the hump in your system. Then all of a sudden, you have that elusive sweetener. The Thunder have all the draft picks that you could ever want. They have historic draft capital. But as we saw last year, it's incredibly hard, if not impossible, to overwhelm a GM just simply by throwing around a few future first-round picks. If it was that easy, they would have gotten Cade Cunningham, folks. If it was that easy, they'd have been up in the draft. But it's not. You need a sweetener. And with this roster crunch coming and you bringing in possibly 3 first-round picks next offseason, Darius Bazley can be your Splenda in your coffee every morning. It can be, we'll throw you 3 future first-round picks and a second, and Darius Bazley too. That way you have a tangible product to bring back to your franchise, bring back to your fan base. Because you've all seen it as NBA fans. How many times has the Thunder gotten somebody who look at their averages and on paper, it's just blah. But since the Thunder put their stamp of approval on it and they trade for the guy, oh goodness, look at these highlights over here. Sure, it's a 2-minute and 50-second highlight film, but look at it. Look at it. Look what we can do with him. He's just been put in the wrong spot. Our team can change his trajectory. So when it's turning the corner, it's not, wow, look at Bazley. He's a long-term starter. You have to sharpen him in to one of the 5 starting spots on your next championship team. When we're talking about turning the corner, it's, wow, Bazley went from, yeesh, I do not know about his future in this league, to, all right, that's a really good 7th, 8th man on to fill out your roster, to complete yourself. And if you need a spot starter, just like in baseball, you need a spot starter every once in a while. He can leap in there. He can conform to what you're doing. Or, if his future's not in Oklahoma City, he's a nice piece to say, okay, if 3 picks can't get it done, what about 3 picks and Darius Bazley? Because, again, as we saw last offseason, you never really had that and guy to go finish trades last offseason. You've got an and guy now. And I've been the biggest advocate for Darius Bazley of anybody in the world. I will confidently say that. I've called him building block Bazley since May 2020. But even I don't think he's going to be a NBA starter without a shadow of a doubt, even with this incredible streak that he's on right now. But I know he's going to be an NBA player, and I know he's going to have an NBA career. And that was in question a bit, even a cool 4 months ago. That's what turning the corner looks like. So credit to Darius Bazley. Another thing after this game, SGA injury update. Mark said that SGA is feeling good, but his ankle is not always responding well the next morning. He says that that's why he's day-to-day. That's why he's listed as questionable on all the injury reports. Remember, folks, he'd been questionable for about 3 games leading up to that Magic game that he finally was out for. Was questionable again this morning before the Boston game, and then did play. OKC is an off day on Tuesday. They play the Magic on Wednesday, an off day Thursday. SGA, of course, missed the front end of the back-to-back on Sunday against the Magic and played on Monday against the Celtics. We'll find out more tomorrow, just like the team will. But will he play Wednesday against the Magic is still up in the air. I think that the off days help on Tuesday and Thursday to help him play Wednesday, but we'll see how that ankle responds. And to the question of why not just shut him down, it goes back to last year. The Thunder didn't shut him down last year. He got hurt last year. And he got injured last year. Right now, he's got a sore ankle. Competitors want to compete. I promise you, SGA wants to play every single night. But the Thunder have to save him from himself. And you've got to compromise. Like in any other relationship, you've got to compromise. So the compromise here is SGA, look, we're not going to run you into the ground. You're going to rest when it's sore. And if you feel as close to 100% as possible at this stage of the season, then we'll play you. So if that means resting every other game, like your Favors or Horford, so be it. Because there's no point to run that ankle into the ground at this stage of the season, at this stage of the franchise, at this stage in your career. That's why I don't shut him down in general, because there's still a pathway for him to play. Last year, there was no pathway to play on plantar fasciitis. There was 0 pathway. This year, there's a pathway. It's your day-to-day, and we never know from one morning to the next if you're going to play, but there's still always a chance. And there's a chance he plays Wednesday. There's a chance he doesn't play Wednesday. We don't shut him down because he's a legitimate competitor, and he's healthy enough to keep giving him the opportunity to play. And that's the difference whenever you see Lou Dort, Muscala, and Jerome out for the year versus the other injured players not being tabbed as out for the year yet. Because those guys, due to their injury and the severity of it and needing surgery, there just wasn't a way that they could play this year. With the others, while we're getting close to drawing the curtains on the season, only 10 games left, there's still a way that they can play a game. So they're going to continue to try to get them playing in a game. So we'll see what SGA does on Wednesday. Obviously, it would benefit the Thunder in a great way in the long run and with the tank to not play him against the Magic, but we'll see what the Thunder end up doing. But that's the injury update on SGA. Thunder never leading this game. They did cover the 13-point spread. I picked SGA for the money ball. It was Tre Mann, 7. MVP of the game is Tre Mann. What's to come on Locked On Thunder? Well, Richard Stayman at Mavs Draft on Twitter, host of Locked On NBA Draft, is going to preview the Sweet 16 and the Magic game on Wednesday's show. If you didn't know, Richard is also a Magic fan, so that's a big deal for both of us. We're going to preview that game Wednesday and talk about the Sweet 16 and talk about the March Madness so far at this point. Thursday, recap that Magic game. Friday, we're going to grade your takes and answer your questions. So send either in on Twitter at Rylan_Styles. And until tomorrow, be good and be good to one another.